Hello everyone, myself Dr. K. Ragini, Assistant Professor from Department of ECE from Kamaraj College of Engineering and Technology. Today's topic is about optical transmitters, and first case we are going to see is light emitting diode. Light emitting diode and why the optical sources are so much important in the transmitter side, and a few advantages have been listed here. First, it gives a high radiance output, and it will be a fast emissions response time, and it will be high quantum efficiency. And optical sources have been classified into two cases. One is in incoherent optical LED sources LED, and coherent optical sources is about laser diodes, and it gives a direct intensity modulation, and as well as it gives a external modulation. So, materials used for light sources, especially for LED. So, we can choose the direct band gap material, semiconductor materials, which has been in the group of third and fifth alloy of semiconductor in the periodic table, including binary components and ternary components. So, in binary components we can choose gallium arsenide in major and gallium phosphide, and in the ternary components we can use arsenide and arsenide phosphide. So, for each semiconductor material it been listed for each energy band. In LED, in light emitting diode, recombination process plays a vital role in emitting the light waves, or else we can say how the photon is being emitted from the process entirely. So, we are concentrating on the two bands, energy bands like valence band and conduction band here. So, I have taken electron recombination, and that is been associated with photon emission for a direct band gap material. In this case we are going to see the direct band gap material where here it shows the valence band where the electrons have been the major carriers, and it is the conduction band here, and here we have holes here. And when the external energy is being applied here, the valence band electrons tend to move from valence band to conduction band, and based on this movement there will be a electron transition from valence band to conduction band, and the emission of photon energy will be created here. And similarly we will obtain E is equal to h nu. E is nothing but the photon energy, and h nu is nothing but the h is the Planck's constant, and v is the velocity of light. And this is the thing, only external energy is being required in the direct band gap material. When we are discussing about indirect band gap material, this same electron recombination needs external energy in furthermore way and the momentum. So, here the same for the movement from valence band to conduction band. So, external energy and external momentum is being required. So, that only the recombination process will happen. So, here the same h nu is nothing but E indirect minus difference of E photon and E indirect. So, external energy, the conclusion is about when we are choosing the direct band gap materials, we no need of any external energy and momentum. When we are choosing indirect band gap material, we need extra energy and momentum for this whole electron photon energy transition process. And when we are discussing about the pure crystal energy band diagram for an intrinsic semiconductor, we can see this valence band and conduction band. The electron transition happens from valence band to conduction band to obtain a energy emission, that is a light ray or light wave. And this graph shows the whole concentration distribution and electron concentration distribution. For a pure semiconductor, that is intrinsic semiconductor material, it is evident that a whole concentration is equally distributed with the P is equal to N. We have no movement of charge carriers from valence band to conduction band, or from conduction band to valence band. So, we won't have any kind of emission as in a faster way. And This is the second case where the n-type material is being chosen, and here the pentavalent impurities phosphate, arsenide or tin is being chosen here. Here you can see another level, donor level is being between valence band and the conduction band, and the donor level is very much near to the conduction band. And here the electron concentration distribution, you can see the distribution is higher for electron concentration, and the holes concentration is very much lesser. So, it is evident that when we are choosing this n-type material, the movement of electrons, charge carrier is very higher because of this donor level. It will help the electrons to come back to the valence band, and during the process the emission will be higher. And the third case is p-type material. It is a trivalent impurities like indium, gallium and aluminum, and here the another new level is an acceptor level. So, it helps the valence band electrons to move further away from valence band to the conduction band, and the energy is being released, and here the holes concentration is being higher than comparatively to electron concentration distribution, so that the charge carriers are hold a higher power to move from a valence band to the conduction band. So, based on this, solution of these type material and n-type material is being chosen for higher mobility, and the process recombination process is fast in these two cases. And coming to the LED configuration, here a double heterostructure configuration is being chosen. It is the two semiconductor materials are being sandwiched between this active layer. So, here you can see there is a metal layer, and another side it is also a metal layer. It is a metal contact between these semiconductor regions. Here you have n-type material, and here you have a p-type materials, where n-type material and p-type materials are injected with electrons and holes, and that able to recombine in this particular active region. So, the active region we can see the recombination process of electron hole combination, and photon electron and LED structure is all about double heterostructure configuration, and the working principle behind of this structure is about electron are injected from the n-type, and holes are injected from the n-type. Both actively move within this recombination region, and finally it emits the light. So, that we can see with respect to the fiber classification, whereas the waveguide region is between 2 and 4, and this active region produces the light which is about the core region, and here you can see the electron hole recombination in the form of h nu. E is equal to h nu is being achieved by using this heterostructure. So, this heterostructure is being packed with the two sides of metal contact and substrate and metal contact improvement layer, and finally the recombination layer is being sandwiched between light guiding and a carrier confinement of two sides. So, this light guiding and carrier confinement will be helpful in transmitting the light within the core, so that it will not have any narrow escape of cladding region. And this double heterostructure configuration is very helpful in guiding the light entirely throughout the process. So, some of common materials used in fabrication of electroluminescence source for optical fiber communication has been listed, and the materials of active layer confining layer has been listed here, and the useful wavelength between the range has been listed here, and what kind of the substrate we can use for this particular wavelength is also been edge emitting, and another one is surface emitting. So, in this particular diagram it is evident that it's a double heterogeneous structure as well as what we have discussed, and surface emitting LED have a surface mount where the optical confinement is at the top layer, and in the edge emitting LED we have a optical confinement will be in the edge side of the LED in the same double heterostructure. And this is the surface emitting LED's structure in detail. Here you can see the confinement layer, and here this is the fiber, and the circular part of the fiber where it holds a core and a cladding is etched in this particular well, and the substrate, and there will be a silicon dioxide isolation and metallization and heat sink for the emission. There will be a kind of heat emissions, and active region is being in the center for the which is being connected in the core and the circular metal contact, and there will be a bonding material, and again there will be metallizations, and the specific diameter is about 50 micrometer, and diameter in the 2.2 micrometer of a thickness, and it shows a lambation emission pattern, and it's about half power beamwidth of 120 degree. And here it shows the detailed diagram of edge emitting LED, where you can see the edge emission is at the ending or edge of the LED, and same layers like light guiding layers, and this is the substrate, and this is the metallization for an electrical contact, and this is a SiO2 isolation layer, and this is a double heterostructure layer, and this is a metallization for an electric contact, and this is the active layer where the fiber is being coupled for the entire guiding process, light guiding process. And based on certain parameters, we can choose what kind of right LED is necessary, and based on that parameters we can able to calculate the LED efficiencies. So here there are two processes involved in this recombination. One is radiative and another one is not radiative, and here the photon is being energy h nu is being involved. Photon of energy h nu is released in radiative, and in a non radiative, and the photon is not be released, and that is due to self absorption, recombination at interfaces, or some due to Agar process, which is kind of a molecular. And here the rate equation for LED is denoted as dN divided by dt, so that is nothing but J divided by QD, and that will be subtracted from N divided by tau. Here J is the current density, and Q is the electron charge, and D is the thickness of recombination region, and N by tau is a carrier recombination rate. So how much rate has been time has been required for this carrier recombination with pairing, and at equilibrium N will be J tau divided by QD, and it is a steady state of electron density in the active region. So to achieve this active region, we have N should be J tau divided by QD. And similarly, so the internal quantum efficiency is number of photons generated per second is divided by number of injected electrons per second, and that is divided by PLED of divided by internal LED, power of the internal LED divided by h nu divided by ILED, current of the LED divided by electron E. So device current and the light power generated inside the diode due to the photons. So by using these formulas, we can able to calculate the internal quantum efficiency, and as well as RR is equal to internal efficiency multiplied with R total, so that we can able to calculate the total number of recombinations per second. So the total number of photons generated per second is also calculated by using radiatively recombinative parameter. So the optical power is also calculated within the internal to the LED. So the power generated is being calculated with P internal is equal to R into RR into h nu. So internal efficiency into I v mu divided by E can be calculated by for optical power generated inside the internal part of the LED. So this is the external quantum efficiency, is another parameter to calculate the efficiency of the LED. So here eta external is nothing but number of photons emitted from the LED and number of photons internally generated. So here for certain quantum efficiency, the eta is defined as similar to internal quantum efficiency, but also considers the number of photons actually leaving the LED structures. So eta external is being calculated as number of photons emitted from the LED divided by number of photons internally generated. So this is the LED output for superluminescence LED, edge emitting LED, and semiconductor LED. The two graphical representations for two different parameters have been given here. So one for temperature, in x-axis temperature for 0 to 60 degree of variations, and in y-axis power in the terms of 0.1 to 10 milliwatt is been plotted here. And superluminescence LED provides a better power when the temperature increases rather than semiconductor LED and edge emitting LED. And similarly, when the current increases, superluminescence LED provides a better output than the edge emitting LED. And coming to the summary part, the light emitting diode is a semiconductor device, so that it is useful in conversion of electrical into optical conversion in all of the optical communication entire link. And here direct band gap materials are preferred over the indirect band gap materials, and LED efficiency is mostly depends upon injection efficiency, internal quantum efficiency, and external quantum efficiency. And some of the applications of LED are display systems and optical fiber communication blocks and traffic signals. Thank you.